he can't keep saving his wife in the way that he is because he's enabling her to stay stuck. And one of the things that I was talking about was how this is like a really common pattern that I think you and I have definitely experienced. Welcome to the Weaponized Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Hewitt.
I'm Ryan Hewitt.
You didn't let me introduce you this time.
Okay, introduce me.
And this is my co-host.
We're supposed to
Ryan
say
Hewitt.
my name. You can introduce me.
Okay. And this is our second take because we recorded this last night and late night, and we did not have audio. So
Yeah, take two.
Take two, and it's 10 o'clock at night on a Wednesday that we're recording
Oh my God,
this.
it is 10. Yeah.
So you're getting a late night edition. Let's see what comes out of it. Our topic tonight is saving versus supporting.
Okay, go for it. So what does that mean?
So this week, one of the things that came up, I was telling Ryan that I had two different couples that we got into this conversation. One was from the male's perspective and one was actually from the female's perspective. And the male was saying about how his wife was going through a really rough time. And we got into this conversation and I listened and I was saying to him that this person specifically is a first responder. So his line of work is to save and help other people. And I was telling him that he has to start to think a little bit differently when it comes to his marriage, that he can't keep saving his wife in the way that he is because he's enabling her to stay stuck. And one of the things that I was talking about was how this is like a really common pattern that I think you and I have definitely experienced. And then at times, and we hear quite often come up. And one of the things that I came out of me, and this person is not like religious, I would say. However, I said, what happens to saviors? Like to kind of break his state. I said that. And I said, he was like, he just kind of looked at me and I was like, saviors get crucified. Mm-hmm. And I could see that that opened up a avenue for me to explore what was going on in his relationship. And I was sharing with him that he has to really let his wife sit in the pit and hit this rock bottom. So she has a choice where she gets to choose if she's going to go stay the same and stay comfortable, and or she's going to make some changes that will benefit not only her, but their whole marriage as a whole. And so it just made me start to really think about how what is the difference between when you're actually trying to save someone versus when you are actually supporting them? And kind of that saying about give a man a fish or teach him how to fish. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that we would explore that a little bit of what your take is on that, and then come back to it of how we've had this nice ebb and flow, I feel like at times, of allowing each other to be in their pit while supporting each other without enabling it, I guess.
So what comes up for me is in one of our stories is that you enabled me for a long time. Mm-hmm. Not, I think, consciously, and I certainly didn't think that was the case. But you started to resent me because you were enabling me. Mm-hmm. So, and the way that you enabled me was you enabled me to show up to work in my business, but to operate as an employee, because behind the scenes, you decided to just handle everything when it came to the overhead, the payroll, the bills,
HR.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate,
HR,
insurance,
taxes, legal, accounting, everything. Yeah. And then, but I had no like purview of this. I had no understanding of how to operate a business. I'd never operated a business before. And I think that over time, like as you like started to bite your fingers and your hands to the bone, and you became more resentful to me, and like we lost attraction for one another, and we were just in like a major, like you were in a pit, I was in a pit.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were enabling me by hiding what was going on in the background and taking on all the stress of all the things going on with our money. And all the meanwhile, I was just showing up and taking care of patients and just doing my job and collecting a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what comes up for me as far as like the only time that I ever, I guess, well, I mean, it took major crisis for that to turn around, but it was a huge wake up call for me to really see like, oh, I'm not growing up as a business owner. I'm not even a business owner. Like I'm a fucking employee in my own business. My wife like doesn't want to sleep with me because I'm not attractive to her, because I'm just like showing up as like this like I don't even know how to explain it. Just like somebody that you obviously see the potential of becoming, but is just not stepping into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm losing my marriage, and my business is, I guess mediocre and drowning. And inside of me, like I'm like angry, and I'm angry at myself, and I don't really know why. And all the meanwhile, like it's my fault truly, but you were trying to save me by doing all of the, by trying to hide the truth from me when it came to like what was going on behind the scenes with our business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So that's no different than say what's going on with that example you gave. And the thing is like, yeah, like, did you feel appreciated?
Mm-mm.
Did you feel like I was grateful for the business that you helped me build?
No, and it wasn't just about the business. I just felt like you weren't grateful to have me as your wife.
Right. And that's the thing is like you became like the savior that got crucified because you're not getting what you want. I'm not getting what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's the craziness of it, is that you just like, you wake up and you show up and do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
How do you think I shifted from saving to supporting?
How did you shift from saving to supporting?
Like, what do you think changed that allowed me to start to let you?
I don't know. I don't
start to more step into like more leadership in not only our business, but then you started the domino for you was the business because it was the thing that you could grasp on the quickest, I think. But then after that, like that's the effect of the domino. The domino effect is that like it cascades across other areas of your life. So you started getting telling the truth in like how you're operating as a business owner. And then you started to do what? Free me a little bit, like free me up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all starts with shedding myself of the victim mentality.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the exact day that this happened, or I think like, I always just think back to like my experiences at Warrior and Warrior Week, because it was other men that like looked me in the face when it was like, you're a fucking pussy. Like these are the facts in your life. And this is how you're showing up. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
How do you not see this reality that you've created?
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
I feel
that's
like
why
you should tell the gray man story for some reason.
But no, because I don't want to get off this thought. So
okay.
Here's what men need. Men need other men to sharpen one another. Like iron sharpens iron. If you're relying on your wife to like sharpen you as a man, then you're just asking him to be your mother. Right. So at that point I realized, I was like, well, I have a wife who I'm asking her to be like my mother. I'm showing up like an employee in my own business. And all the meanwhile, I don't even know all the facts of what's going on with my production and my business and what's going in, what's going out. And it was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was like, it was just, so the humiliation and the embarrassment first came from my humiliation, embarrassment with what I did in our marriage. And then that led me down a path of like, oh my God, like I'm humiliated and embarrassed what's going on with my business. I'm humiliated and embarrassed, like how I've operated all my time and energy and focus into my body and pretty much broke it. And I'm trying to white knuckle and do this like all in my own terms, led by my ego. So like that whole like shattering of my reality happened. That was like 2017. But like that doesn't, you don't rebuild a new person in a year or 2 years or 3. So it happened. So I can identify like when everything was shattered, but the rebuild is slow. But it does start with that ownership. It starts with that moment of like complete humility and embarrassment and like shame and guilt and all that.
Yeah. So it like letting you live in your pit, like sit in your pit.
Yes. So I had to feel the feelings. I had to see the reality. I had to like take ownership of it. Right. If you would have stepped in and like tried to save me, or if you tried to like help me feel better or rub my back and be like, it's okay. Like you're going to be fine. And don't worry. Like, no.
Yeah. If I was happy, clappy Kendra, you would have been like,
no. Yeah. And that's why that doesn't work. Like that false, I guess,
false lift.
Yeah. False lift. Well, what do you call it? Pollyanna
syndrome. Yeah.
So that's what comes up for me. I just like, this is what happened with us.
Yeah. Well, I think too, is that, like I said, going back to this other couple that I was working through this with, I think at first when I said this to the guy, he was like, what do you mean let her sit in the pit? I was like, you got to let her hit. Like it was another way of saying like, you have to exercise a little bit of tough love. Right. And I think about like, I'm not someone who can honestly say that I've ever really had to do tough love in a situation where it's like, when I think about the tough love, like the example that comes up is someone that like has like an addict in their family, right? And they
get thrown in jail and they have to let them rot in jail for a little bit.
Like you don't bail them out right away. Yeah. You literally let them sit there. As hard as that is to do, right? Like, and so, like I said, I can't really speak from experience of doing it that way, but I think that concept of letting someone sit in the pit is part of that, because you're basically, instead of saving and enabling them, you are allowing them to feel the consequences of their actions without sugarcoating them.
Yeah, but at the same time, without judging them or blaming them or trying to fix it for them.
Yes, like because you fixing it for them is not going to allow them to get the full healing and or lesson.
It's difficult for men because that's what we do, right? Yeah. My wife's upset. She's broken. She needs help. I'm going to try to fix it. I'm going to take on her it's my responsibility to help her feel happy.
Yeah, which is the other side of this coin, I think.
Yeah. So you're not responsible for anybody's happiness, right? Whether it's your kids or your spouse. I mean, it's cliche, right? You have to be responsible for your own happiness. But that comes from, it's really like, that's a huge conversation. It's a deep meaning for everybody. And I think I should preface this by saying, first of all, like your life's purpose is not to be happy. I think that's a mistake that I feel a lot of people make, or they assume that that's like, my goal in life is to be happy. I think that sets up a lot of disappointment because you're just discounting, I think that life is not built to make you happy all the time. And in fact, if you're happy all the time, like you're probably not experiencing, I guess, the full expansion of what life has to offer, because the lows and the high, like it's so true. Like, I guess the rainy days make the sunny days more enjoyable, right? I think that's why people like make it like live in New England because they live and die for the summer. Like
Yeah.
if you go to California, like people don't give a shit that it's beautiful and sunny. Like they're not on the beach and having a good time, right? They're like, it's any old Monday morning going to work, sitting inside, right? But you take anybody from New England in February, take them down to Florida, they're like, oh my God, let's go outside, let's go play. So being able to experience like the highs with the lows is part of life. It's going to happen, and it's something that you just have to understand that you got to roll with. And the lows are for learning, and then the highs are for appreciating. And I think that in a lot of cases, most people, what they're saying is they want peace in their life. Like they just want to be able to not freak out when things are fucking hitting the pit. Right. And then,
well, most people, like, back to the pit, like, I don't want to leave this concept because it's like, I want your take on what I said to this couple. Because it's like, when I say let her sit in the pit, he was like, well, what does that mean? And I was like, that doesn't mean let her sit there and like just cry on her own and like let her work through it. I said, this is where you have to switch to what it would look like to support versus save. And I use the example, and I know you're going to laugh at this because Ryan doesn't believe it, but I was a lifeguard.
you're going to use this one again.
Yes, because it's such a good one. And I was saying to him that, like, I don't know why this stands out from, like, God, this was 20 plus years ago when I did lifeguard training, which again, Ryan doesn't believe I did because I hate swimming. But that's a story for another day. But one of the things that, like, when you're approaching someone that's clearly struggling, they're usually like in a panic, right? So the most important thing is that you have to establish where they calm down enough so that they don't grab onto you and do what?
Well, that's why you bring a floaty out so they can grab the floaty and not you and drown you.
Right. Because they could take the thing is that they could easily take you down with them. Right.
Well, it's what, yeah.
So I use this example of I didn't use the actual like fight or flight example, like terms behind it. But I use this example with this guy because I was saying to him, I was like, basically the other one that comes up is like putting your oxygen mask on first. And so one of the things I said to him, I was like, what are some ways that you could calm your wife down without trying to solve her problems, that the problems that she's having in the pit, because she has a lot of different things going on in the pit. And he's like, well, I guess I never really thought about changing my approach to it. And I was like, well, what was one of the things that makes your wife feel like calm or like loved? And so we explored that a little bit. And he was saying that, like, by the end of the conversation, he's like, I think I know what I need to do. And I thought about this too, is that like how on like your bedstand, you had like a coffee sticker. It was from like some coffee company. And on your sticker, it says, no one's coming to save you. Mm-hmm. And I thought about how, like, exactly what you were saying when it comes to the business is that you have, by allowing someone to sit in the pit, they get to choose whether they're going to stay in victim mentality or they are actually going to take responsibility for it. And I basically explained to this guy that if you let her sit in victim, you will always be responsible for saving her. But if you allow her to have a chance to establish responsibility for getting herself to where she's at, then she can make some different choices. And
you have to be really firm in who you are to do that, though.
Yeah. And
so if you're not secure in who you are, then you're thinking, well, she might leave me, or she might not ever get better, or you start making up stories of, and then that's when you step back into your old pattern of like, oh, I'm just gonna save her.
So what do you think, back to this savior on the business, like how I used to enable you, what do you think has changed that allowed me to let you lead more versus me to save you?
I mean, honestly,
yes,
that I was able to like take responsibilities off your plate and get you out of the building and allow you to like do things that you feel like you had certainty and that you wanted to have ownership of, and not things like you felt you had to take ownership of. So being able to like step in and delegate and, yeah, I mean, really just like, so it was all about, I think, producing in the business in a way where I was able to hire enough people and have enough protection around our processes, procedures, and staff. In other words, like Kendra is not going to go to work anymore when someone's out sick, right? Or Kendra is not going to take care of this anymore because this person does, or because I do. So I mean, it was just a matter of like getting a lot of responsibility off your plate and just giving you or leaving you the things that you wanted to maintain ownership of, and then allowing you to do that from home and not actually in the physical building. So like we work really great together, believe it or not, but we've had to figure that out. And I think part of that is that we cannot physically be in the same brick and mortar business working together, because I think you like to start to try to threaten my leadership. And that happens with like the team and with our meetings and with our, like how we do things and the processes, and like, no, this is the way that, and that would cause us conflict. And we would we would actually like have not fights in front of our team, but we would have like heated discussions.
Oh, we definitely had a couple.
Yeah. But that was when like things were not organized. Right. And you were trying, like in your mind, you're like, I'm going to call him out in a way that I'm going to try to lead and do this, or say it how it is. And he's going to get pissed off because it's not his way.
Well, it was never intentional that I would piss you off.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
I mean, it was like subliminally maybe.
But I think that something really big that shifted us, for me personally, I guess when it comes to the business, but also in our marriage, is that like you acknowledge that I was the visionary and I'm the big picture thinker, and we both acknowledge, which I mean I knew all along, that you were the implementer.
Yeah, and that's how we started out, at least, and that's how it operated for a long time.
But
I've learned how to become now more visionary, but it's not natural for me. What's natural for me is more being an implementer and like a hands-on install, right?
Yeah. And I'm not naturally the implementer. Like, yeah, I struggle with that. I'm the big idea person and I'm the creative person. And at that time, especially when we were at the rock bottom, I think, I was being very task driven and very like outside of my comfort zone of what my actual skill sets were.
Yeah. But
because I was trying to survive.
Well, you're in the wrong seat on the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're on the wrong seat on the bus, then you're constantly frustrated and unhappy.
Yep. And I think that the big thing, if I could answer it from my own question, from what shifts, like hindsight's 2020 and looking back now, one of the big shifts that I think that I realized I made is that like I was like, dude, I'm just gonna it's gonna be okay if he fucks something up. Like I can probably fix it if he does fuck something up. And then I got more and more trust because I was like, oh,
that was the key. Yeah. You didn't trust me for a long time.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, and I think a lot of this was unconscious, to be completely honest, but like,
well, you were screwed by other men in business before too. And I think you didn't trust men when it came to like sex. You didn't trust men when it came to business.
Yeah.
And I had to like break you in on all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that too, one of the things that was really, that is really challenging when you are a, what's the word? Like a strong personality like I can be, was that like there were many men that I'd been in business with before that did end up threatened by my ability to step in and, I don't want to say take control, but lead when it was needed.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I could, like, it was a very like big tug of war of our relationship of like who was leading. And it wasn't intentional. It was definitely unconscious, but we could not change it until we became conscious of it. Just like you can't change anything that you are not aware that you are doing.
Mhm.
And so I think that, like, back to this saving and supporting thing is like kind of looking at your relationship and being like, hey, where are areas that like I constantly save my spouse? And they actually need to like, and this is gonna be a funny example, is like I think about on my birthday when we got in the car and I was like, holy fuck, we're about to run out of gas.
Yeah, and
And
you're
like,
freaking out.
and I was like totally freaked out. Like I got super quiet because I was like, and you're like, "Oh shit, yeah, we are pretty low on gas." And you're like, "How much extra reserve does your tank have?" And I was like, "I don't know because it's never got this low." Like,
I was like, great, I can play the gas game.
yeah, and like at night, no, that was not fun. But
I thought it was fun.
I know you thought it was fun because you thought
Exciting.
it was funny to watch me. Um,
Sweat.
but the reason I say that is that like it's like that was a perfect example like of a little thing in a marriage that like it's like do you play the gas game or do you not play the gas game, right? And that dynamic is different, but like how we were both handling it was like such a classic like indication of our personalities, right? But it's like I could have easily been like, "Oh no, it's okay, we're late for dinner. Let's just go get the gas." But then I just didn't do that. Like I let it play out the way it did. And that's a small example of just like not saving and just being like surrendering. Like I think that's like the flip side of what's the word I want there?
I don't know, but I think you're onto something with surrender, though.
Yeah. So I think that I
I
can't. It's
think
very hard to
I think the more
articulate.
you've decided to surrender, like, and this kind of, I don't know, it's gonna sound like misogynistic and weird, but like I feel like there has to be a degree of surrender of like a spouse to their husband when it comes to like whether it's like a courtship or a sexual dynamic or whatnot. Like,
Mhm.
do you want to lead in our marriage? Like, do you want to be like the dominant
No.
one who makes all
No.
the decisions and
No.
tells me like here's what
No.
we're doing? And no, like I know you like to be the boss lady sometimes, and that's
Yeah.
cool. But when it comes to like our romance and our like some of the important decisions in our life, I know you want me to like lead,
Yeah.
right?
And I
So,
like to like, oh man, I can't
but it
believe
took
I'm
a
gonna
lot. It took a
I
lot
can't
for
believe
you
I'm
to
gonna
get there.
admit this, but like boss lady to me is like, first of all, that's the old version of me
Mhm.
first. Second of all, it was a survival mechanism for me.
Right.
And
Who did you learn that from?
I learned that from my mother, right? Like
Mhm.
based on her story. And confronting that and being able to admit that as hard as it is like, I don't want to be boss lady. I
No,
just
and
have learned, I have habitually learned to be boss lady because I have chosen, not all the time, but very often, relationships with weaker or men that did not feel as confident in their own leadership in their life.
Mhm.
And there were definitely times when you did not feel confident in your leadership, but I
No,
still stuck with it. And
for some
you
reason.
still continue to evolve because you
Yeah,
can.
because I don't know how to
And
I don't know how
there
to
are
quit.
times when, which is probably one of your strongest skill sets, is like
Yeah.
your level of persistence and perseverance. It has always pays for you, in my opinion.
What's the only thing I know how to do? It's the only thing that's ever worked.
But the reason that I'm bringing it back to this is that I think that there are times when you can ebb and flow with leadership in your marriage, right? And the example I used last night when the audio wasn't on, which I thought was really good, was I talked about how a couple of years ago we went back to church. I went back to church first. And that if I came home and I was like, Ryan, you got to come with me. It's awesome. You're going to love it. Like, you would have been like, what? What is going on? Like, you would have just been like, stop right there. Like, are you going to become like this Bible thumping, like, like you would have had all these old labels that probably you had in the past, like last couple years, right? And same thing happened so I kind of took the lead on that and I kept going, and you started to see some change where I didn't have to talk about it because you started to see like, hey, she's going on Sundays to church, like, and she's done this like a couple weeks in a row, where my consistency piqued your interest. And then when it comes to when you took the lead on something more recently was like our journey into plant medicine.
Mhm.
Right? Because I was very like, that was super out of my comfort zone. I didn't understand what it was. And now it's something that I'm like, I talk so passionately about. And it's something that
We're thinking about.
I truly like it has changed my life. And now we're thinking about taking another step deeper with that, right?
Yeah. So I think that's, and we can kind of close with this. It's like when you're allowing your spouse to ride the lows and not save them, and including yourself, but you're willing to, like, instead of try to save them, just try to lead them and lead them by example. And if you have a healthy marriage, then you're going to want to help each other rise. And I think that that has been the case for us as we've gone back and forth in different ways. Like, I've started a business and ran with it, and then you started your business and ran with it. And, you've gone to church and, got deeper in spirituality, and that really, inspired me to do it, and so on and so forth. So I think that you're always going to, if in a healthy marriage, grow together, right? Otherwise you're growing apart. Like, and that doesn't mean you don't have your own interests and activities, but in the important things that are your life together, I think that that's a really critical piece of like a healthy marriage, is that you're always, I think, growing together in all
and I
areas.
think it's really like, you have to say this part though, with the growing together, is that it could be at different paces.
Yeah.
And it could be at different speeds, I guess I should say. And then I think that you always need to be growing, but you also need to always be like healing, like whatever parts of you are needed to be healed. And like that also happens on its own timeline. So that's also another place where you need to go from saving to supporting, is like, where in your marriage are you like hoping something like your wife gets over something quicker than she's ready to get over it. Like, I think that there's like everybody's happiness there. Everybody is responsible for their own happiness, and you're also responsible for your own healing. Like, you can't rush that process for that person, just like you can't make that other person happy if they're not intrinsically wanting that.
I think that's a good place to wrap up. That's solid.
Yeah.
Good one.
So your happiness and your healing
is your
responsibility. That's where we'll close it.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for joining the Weaponized Marriage podcast. If you like this, please rate, review, and subscribe, and share it with someone who might enjoy listening to this conversation. Late night conversation with the Hewitts.
Yeah, 10:30. All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.